Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We only have 3 weeks left in the college football regular season, but we still have tons of big games as we have another 7 ranked versus ranked matchups this week, just like we did in week 10. So here in a second, we're going to break down all of those 7 games, kind of share our analysis, share who we think is going to win those big games, and I'm going to give you some teams that I think could be on upset alert this week, teams that are ranked but are facing unranked teams that I think could lose, and we've got a decent number of them. So we're going to go ahead and start breaking them down for you real quick. All right, so our first game, number 15 Oklahoma State at number 21 Iowa State. Now, this is one of those games that I put up here because it is a ranked versus ranked matchup, but it does not have any major playoff implications. Neither of these teams are going to make the college football playoff, unfortunately. A lot of people thought Oklahoma State could make that run and get there, and had they won against Oklahoma last week, a 62-52 loss, they may have still been in the running, but they're not. This game, however, does have Big 12 title implications because down here, TCU and Oklahoma are at the head of the Big 12 standings right now, but one of them is going to lose this week. Oklahoma State and Iowa State both have 2 losses, so the winner of this game is still technically in the hunt for the Big 12 championship game. Remember, Iowa State has already beaten TCU and Oklahoma. They get Oklahoma State at home. Could they upset the Cowboys? And if they do, they're still in the hunt for the Big 12 championship, which was a remarkable season for Iowa State. I know a lot of people didn't expect them to be this good, making it to number 15 in the country as of last week, and potentially being in the running for the Big 12 championship game. So this game has a lot riding on it for that sake, but neither of these teams is going to be able to make the college football playoff. They still have a lot to play for, as well as a good bowl spot as well. So I actually kind of like Iowa State in this game personally. With it being at home, we've seen what they're able to do at home. They kind of laid an egg last week against West Virginia, got blown out early, but were able to crawl back and make it a respectable loss. Oklahoma State, it's going to be interesting to see how they respond after that loss to Oklahoma in the Big Bedlam rivalry. They let up tons of yards to them, 598 yards to Baker Mayfield. So will they be able to respond knowing that their playoff hopes are over? We'll have to wait and find out. But Iowa State's a very tough environment to play in. It's an early game. They might be able to catch the Cowboys off guard. So that's going to be a fun Big 12 game to watch. And then Michigan State at Ohio State. This is a really, really intriguing game. Another early game on Saturday. But Michigan State, everybody thought they were dead. Definitely out of the playoff race or Big Ten race. But then they beat Penn State last week, and automatically they're back in the college football playoff race. And with the win over Ohio State, they would more than likely win the Big Ten East and probably face Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game. And if they win that, they could potentially slide into the top 4 as a 2-loss team. The winner of this will more than likely win the Big Ten East unless Ohio State were to win this and then lose again to Michigan in the season finale, which I can't imagine that happening. But this is going to be a really big game for that. I think Ohio State, if they were to win out, is out of the college football playoff race. Michigan State, however, is not, just due to the quality wins that they already have. They already have wins over Michigan and Penn State. And now Ohio State would have those wins too, so if they were to beat Michigan State and Michigan to close the season. So this game has tons of Big Ten title implications, maybe slight college football playoff implications as well. So this is going to be a fun one to watch. I like Ohio State in this one because it is at home. And hopefully J.T. Barrett can turn things around after his 4-interception performance against Iowa last week. And then another huge game here in the SEC. We have number 1 Georgia at number 10 Auburn. We're guaranteed a loss in the top 10 right here. This is one of the biggest games of the day. Can Auburn knock off the number 1 team in the country? I don't think they will be able to. Now, it is at home, and we know Gus Malzahn always plays fairly well under pressure. He's going to have his Tiger team ready to go, ready to face the Bulldogs and potentially pull up the upset. And Auburn is still in the college football playoff race as well as the SEC race if they can win this game and beat Alabama in the season finale, which they also host Alabama. They would then have to win the SEC championship again over Georgia, and then they might be able to slip into the college football playoff. And I think they would if all that happens. But that's a lot that has to happen for them to get there. In my opinion, I feel that Auburn might be a little overrated. They haven't really had any huge challenges where they've stepped up and won. Their 2 losses this season are to Clemson and to LSU, where they blew a 20-point lead. Their biggest win since that, the 7 wins they have, their biggest win has come to number 16 Mississippi State. They blew them out, but that was earlier on in the season. Besides that, they really haven't beaten anybody good. I'm not saying Auburn's going to get blown out against Georgia. I like Georgia in this one personally. It's going to be close. I know Auburn always plays fairly well at home, and with Gus Malzahn, he's going to have this team ready to go with that explosive offense. Going to have a lot of tricks up his sleeve with Jarrett Stidham sitting there at quarterback. But I like Georgia to win this game in a close one on the road, mostly because I don't know how tested Auburn has been since their 2 losses, because, like I said, they really don't have that really high-quality win besides Mississippi State. I don't know why they're sitting at number 10 right now. I could see them being a little lower, maybe around 15th or something around there. But that's just my opinion, but I do think Georgia will be able to get the win over Auburn. Auburn could prove me wrong, and this is their chance to prove the nation wrong if they can upset the number 1 team in the country. Then we got number 20, Iowa, number 8, Wisconsin. Iowa's new to the rankings because of that 31-point victory over Ohio State, which was a shocker. A lot of people thought they might be able to pull off the upset because it was at home and it's such a difficult place to play, but no one thought they would win by 31 points. Wisconsin is another intriguing team in the college football playoff race because of their weak schedule. A lot of people are saying they shouldn't even be at number 8 right now. Maybe they should be a little lower, and saying that they might not even have a chance to make the college football playoff, even if they win out and win the Big Ten championship because of such a weak team. And like I said earlier in my on my playoff video, I do not think that should be possible for Wisconsin to go undefeated, including a win over Michigan State or Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, and still miss out in the playoff. That would be ridiculous. Anytime you're in a Power 5 conference and you go undefeated, including winning your conference champion, that should be an automatic bid to the playoff if you are not a one-loss team. And Wisconsin has the potential to win out. Their toughest opponents are against Iowa and Michigan, and then whoever they face in the Big Ten championship game. This is the game they've been wanting all year long. They haven't faced anybody good up until this point. Iowa could easily go on the road and upset Wisconsin, but I think Wisconsin's ready to prove to the nation that they are legit and that they are real playoff contenders, and I like them at home against the Hawkeyes here. And that's going to be a really fun game to watch, though. Can Iowa live up to the performance they had against Ohio State, or was that just a fluke? I don't think it was, and they're going to give Wisconsin a heck of a fight, but that's going to be a really fun one to watch. And Alabama at Mississippi State, it was another game that I mentioned that could potentially be an upset, although I don't think it's going to happen. We all know Mississippi State is a very, very tough place to play, and they have been looking really good. I believe they've won 4 straight games, not necessarily against high-quality opponents. They did go on the road and defeat A&M by 21 points, which surprised me that they won that bad. Alabama, we all know the storyline there. Undefeated, they're dominant. They are number 1 in the AP poll, but not number 1 in the college football playoff rankings. I think they go on the road and take care of Mississippi State. I think that game's going to be close for a half, maybe 3 quarters. I think the key for Mississippi State here is they're going to have to meet Alabama stride for stride. Whatever Alabama does, Mississippi State's going to have to do or do better. And this game's going to come down to defense. If Mississippi State can stay physical with Alabama and play some tough defense like we know Alabama's going to do, this game could be a lot closer because Nick Fitzgerald's a good quarterback. He's going to be giving this Alabama team some problems because we saw last week, LSU didn't have much of a passing attack with Danny Etling. Mississippi State has a dual-threat quarterback that can run and pass, so they're going to stretch the field against Alabama here. But I think Alabama, in the end, will be able to get it done, although it will be fairly close. Right now, they're 14-point favorites, and I could see there being a 14 to 17-point victory for Alabama, which is not necessarily what they're used to. And then TCU at Oklahoma. These 2 games down here, TCU, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Miami, are your 2 biggest games of the day. These are the games that are going to have the biggest influence on the college football playoff and the Big 12 and the ACC. We'll start with TCU at Oklahoma. This game, I think, might be just a little bit bigger than the Notre Dame-Miami game. These are the 2 teams that are left out of the college football playoff right now. When you watch the ranking show on TV, you've got the top 4, and you've got number 5 and number 6. You've got number 6 and number 5 facing off this week, both from the Big 12. And the winner of this keeps their playoff hopes alive, and the loser is out and probably out of the Big 12 championship race as well. So a lot's riding on this game nationally and in the Big 12 conference. I like Oklahoma in this one. A couple of you commented about this game. And like I said earlier, this game, once again, kind of like Alabama, Mississippi State, will come down to defense. We've seen what Baker Mayfield can do, throwing for 598 yards against Oklahoma State. They've got a very explosive offense, and they're at home, which gives them a bit of an edge. But if TCU can come in there and play physical and shut down Baker Mayfield and Oklahoma's offense, because they do have a very strong defense, one of the best in the nation, then TCU could very well go into Oklahoma and pull off the upset. TCU also has a very good offense as well, led by Kenny Hill as their quarterback. They can definitely meet Oklahoma stride for stride if this game turns into a shootout. But it's going to come down to defense, and TCU owns the edge on defense. But I'm going to give the win to Oklahoma right now due to home field, and I think Baker Mayfield is going to be the game changer in this one, no doubt about it. But this is going to be a very exciting game, one you definitely need to tune into. And then number 3, Notre Dame. At number 7, Miami. You got the Catholics versus the Convicts. I mean, this is going to be one of the best games of the night, no doubt. I like Notre Dame in this one, personally. Earlier on in the summer, I picked Miami to win this game. and like I said, I'm not changing my predictions that I made in the summer, but you can hear me now. I like Notre Dame a little bit in this one. I feel that they're just a little more explosive overall, and can Mark Richt get that second big win that he needs at Miami? He struggled to do that again at Georgia, winning the big games when it mattered most. He got a huge one against Virginia Tech last week, and he can definitely do it again in the ACC championship game. This is a non-conference game for them, but a loss to Notre Dame at home I think would end their playoff hopes, because they, like Wisconsin, have had a fairly easy schedule along the way, and a win in the ACC championship game, but a loss to Notre Dame I think kicks them out, unless this game is fairly close and they might be able to slide in. But I like Notre Dame on the road here. They got Brandon Wimbush at quarterback, Josh Adams at running back. Hopefully he can have a little bit of a better performance than he did against Wake Forest and lead the Fighting Irish to victory. And we've seen what Miami can do with them having the home field advantage. That's going to be huge for them. College game days going. This is probably one of the biggest games Miami's had in years against Notre Dame. Just one of the biggest games they've had. They've always been on the national stage, but never at this point. We never really considered Miami national title contenders, college football playoff contenders in recent years. And Mark Richt is doing a great job in his second year to turn this program around and get them back to the dominant stage they used to be many, many years ago. But this is going to be one of the best games of the night, probably the best game of the night, but I like Notre Dame to go on the road and take care of business. I feel like their offense is too much. They've had big game experience, facing teams like USC, Georgia already this season. Miami's biggest game coming against Virginia Tech. And Miami has also struggled against some of the weaker ACC opponents, so I like Notre Dame to go on the road due to their experience throughout this season and a more explosive offense overall. So that's something to keep your eye on. And some teams I do have on upset alert. I didn't write them on the board here, but hear me out. I've got 2 Pac-12 teams on upset alert. Not saying they are going to get upset, just watch out for them. Washington travels to Stanford, the number 9 team in the country. The Huskies, I think they could lose on the road to Stanford tomorrow night. I also think Washington State, number 19, could lose on the road to Utah, who had a very dominant performance over UCLA last week. Yes, they were without Josh Rosen, but still, Utah is a very tough place to play. They have a good offense. They're looking to get to bowl eligibility, so watch out for that. And then 2 in the ACC, number 17, Virginia Tech, travels on the road to Georgia Tech. That could potentially be an upset right there. And then number 23, North Carolina State, has to travel to Boston College, who is on the rise. And that could also be another upset right there. So, yes, all 4 of those teams are on the road. That's kind of why I think they could be on upset alert. So make sure you watch out for that. It's going to be some interesting games. We're guaranteed 3 teams in the top 10 to lose this week, 7 teams in the top 25 overall to lose this week. So overall, it's going to be a great week 11 of college football. Kicks off tonight with an interesting ACC matchup between North Carolina and Pittsburgh. But things really get going tomorrow when Washington faces Stanford, and then a big full day of action on Saturday to kick off week 11 with these 7 ranked versus ranked matchups, plus tons of others. So make sure you keep out your eye for that. Make sure you're watching. Enjoy your full day of college football. Thank you for watching. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.